I'm just some punk. Surrounded by 5 bigger punks in the alley. I spotted my arch nemesis, Ethan, passing by and yelled at the top of my lungs, "Hubby, over here." Perfect. The golden boy picked up a steel pipe with murder in his eyes. Everyone at school knew Ethan was homophobic. He'd once beaten the gay out of a kid who confessed to him right in front of the principal. Calling him hubby like this? He'd snap for sure. True enough. Ethan grabbed a brick mid-stride. Left hand pipe. Right hand brick. 6 feet 2 inches of pure muscle and that ice-cold pretty boy glare. The 5 thugs surrounding me froze like idiots. I smirked and looked away. They followed my gaze, then immediately stopped smirking. Leaning against the wall, I snarled, "The fuck you staring at? My man's here. Scram before he rearranges your faces." No one moved. I checked Ethan's position, 20 meters and closing. Time's up. Switching to a friendly grin, I advised, "Seriously, my hubby fights like a rabid wolverine. You should." The ringleader yanked my collar. "Run? That psycho's coming for you. He's glaring holes through your skull. You lying sack of..." I smiled straight into his pimply face, mentally spelling out FUCKYOU with my eyelashes, as the moron kept ranting about my deadbeat dad and selling my ass. Ethan's brick smashed into his skull. Blood sprayed. I kneed the screaming idiot in the groin. Cold steel slapped into my palm as Ethan shoved past me. 2 thugs went down under his spinning kicks. Adrenaline surged. I swung the pipe like batting practice. Crack, crack. 2 heads rang like rotten pumpkins. Ethan stomped the last guy's ribs to the symphony of screams. My triumphant grin died when I met his blade-sharp glare. Oh shit. My turn. I backstepped into fighting stance. Bring it, Ethan. No more hubby. Mother. He scanned me head to toe, then snatched the pipe. The steel whistled past my ear, smashing the brick someone had aimed at my head. A scream echoed immediately after. Not me, it was the bleached-haired guy Ethan had cracked open earlier. Still clutching a brick, I strode over and kicked him hard. Sneak attacking. Huh? Talking shit about me? Blocking my way? On my 3rd kick, a vice-like grip seized my arm. The sensation mirrored last night's dream exactly. Humiliating memories flooded back, freezing me in place as Ethan dragged me away. He only released me when we turned into an alley. That back street's near school. Security patrols there, he said flatly. I nodded. Made sense. Model students always worry about disciplinary records. Clearing my throat awkwardly, I muttered, "So, thanks for today. Sometime I'll..." "John?" My head snapped up. "What?" Ethan remained expressionless. "Your ears are crimson." He'd exploded across my face. "The fuck you staring at?" He stepped closer. "What were you thinking about?" "Back off." I shoved him. "Aren't you supposed to be homophobic? You started this." I gritted my teeth. Couldn't deny that. As I scrambled for an exit, his finger tilted my chin up. "Why? Why what?" I bristled. Why shout that title in public? How could I explain that my desperate cry stemmed from last night's X-rated dream starring future versions of us, where 30-year-old Ethan made me use hubby as our safe word? That when I'd spotted him in the crowd today, I'd blurted it out reflexively and miraculously. He'd stopped. Ethan's unrelenting gaze demanded answers. Felt like it. I sneered. "Payback for all those times you reported me to the dean. We square now." His head dipped slightly. "Do you like me?" "Like your fucking grandma." I exploded. "Half my disciplinary record's your handiwork. Can't you tell I can't stand you? Really?" His voice dropped. "I don't call people I hate hubby." My backpack hit the pavement with a thud. "Let's settle this proper then. Come on. Let's fight." Ethan met my gaze, his lips curling into a smirk after 2 seconds. He grabbed my backpack and slung it over his shoulder. Not today. I helped you out. So you're buying me dinner as thanks. At your place. I stood frozen as Ethan strode toward my house's direction. How the hell did he know where I lived? Had he been following me? Catching up. I demanded answers. Ethan glanced sideways. Amusement dancing in his eyes. Didn't know before. Had a dream last night that showed me. You dreamed too. About what? He halted, studying my face. Judging by your reaction. You also dreamed? What did you see? The topic felt too raw. I sped ahead without answering. Ethan matched my pace effortlessly. Last night, I saw enough to fill half a lifetime. I snorted. Who asked for your explanation? Satisfaction warmed me seeing him speechless, like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Approaching my house, reality crashed back. Grandma didn't know I worked collections for Mr. Hong. That my name topped weekly school disciplinary lists, or that I'd become the class dropout. To her, I remained the honor student from a year ago, back when she'd still promised to fund my Ivy League dreams. Back when chemotherapy hadn't stolen her strength. Ethan had transferred during my downward spiral. He'd been the persistent monitor hounding me for homework I never did. The hall monitor catching me cutting class. The witness to today's alley brawl with those punks. Blocking him at our doorstep. I warned Loli, Grandma's sick. She thinks I'm still, the good kid. Don't. The door creaked open before I finished. Ethan smoothly stepped in front of me, bending to Grandma's eye level. Good afternoon, Mrs. Wilson. I'm Ethan, John's study partner. There were some calculus problems we needed to review together. I kicked his ankle discreetly. He retaliated by squeezing my hand before shoving both backpacks at me, guiding Grandma inside with practiced ease. What the actual hell? Since when did the school's golden boy become such a smooth liar? Had his family funeral last week somehow rebooted his personality? Grandma's chemo-weakened hands couldn't handle cold water, so I usually cooked. Today, Ethan bodily removed me from the kitchen, leaving me gaping at the absurdity of Ethan commandeering my grandmother's stove. After dinner, he even insisted on doing the dishes. Grandma's gaze shifted from admiration to outright pity. Though it was barely drizzling outside, she brought a new quilt to my room while addressing Ethan. Ethan, dear, it's getting late and the rain isn't letting up. You're welcome to stay the night and go to school with John tomorrow morning. Ethan discreetly hid the iodine I'd retrieved behind his back, smiling in agreement. After Grandma left, I snatched the bottle from him, sitting on the bed and rolling up my pant legs. I muttered, don't get the wrong idea. Grandma's just thrilled I brought someone home for the first time. Leave when the rain stops. Who said anything about leaving? Ethan crouched before me, his brow furrowing at the mottled bruises covering my legs. I shoved him awkwardly. If it bothers you, stop staring. Who told you to get so close anyway? His hand closed around my ankle, looking up with faint amusement in his eyes. He said, it's not ugly. Like a palette of couleurs. Or maybe a vibrant flower garden. Are you insane? His grin widened. John, I'm perfectly sane. Stop cursing at me. Need help? Only then did I realize he still held my ankle. I jerked free. No, if you're staying, go shower already. Clothes are in the closet. Quit bothering me. While he was in the bathroom, I tended to the cut on my leg, the real reason those 5 punks had cornered me today. Normally I could handle myself, thanks to years dodging my drunk father's fists. When Grandma's cancer diagnosis came last year, I turned to the Red Circle's loan sharks. On my second visit, Boss Hong offered to wipe my debt if I worked for him. I thought he meant enforcement jobs until he led me to a bedroom. I smashed a crystal ashtray over his head and ran, but they caught me halfway. Strangely, Hong started giving me real jobs after that, saying I had grit. The rumors started soon enough. When that loudmouth called me a rent boy today, Ethan must have heard. Yet here he was, acting completely out of character for someone who supposedly hated queers. The mattress dipped as he settled in. Darkness enveloped the room. John? What? Your head's really round. John? What now? You're about to fall off the bed. None of your business. John? I flipped over and grabbed his throat. This better be important. He gazed at me for a long moment before smiling. Nothing. Just wanted to say your name. I flipped him off. His laughter warmed the darkness. Good night. That night, I dreamed again of Ethan and myself 10 years later. Moonlight seeped through fluttering curtains in that dim room, painting silver trails across tangled sheets. The vast bed held two bodies intertwined. Ethan, bare-chested and muscular, hovered above me. His calloused palm cradled my face while his other hand worked at my buttons, lips occasionally brushing mine with feather-like kisses. His intentions couldn't be clearer. He wanted me. Completely. Yet I lay motionless beneath him, forearm shielding my eyes. No resistance. No pleasure, just this bone-deep terror shaking through me. This should have been our first time. So why did I feel like prey caught in headlights? My arms locked around his shoulders betrayed my willingness. Yet my traitorous body kept trembling. Ethan tugged my arm down, forcing eye contact. My expression must have shown the guilt curdling in my gut. Without words, he pressed tender kisses along my jawline until reaching the jagged scar marring my left cheek, thicker and more vicious than in previous dreams, stretching from cheekbone to mouth corner. When his lips found mine again, I guided his hand to my waist. Keep going, I whispered against his mouth. Sweat glistened at Ethan's temples as he rasped. John, let's establish a safe word. His breath warmed my ears. He murmured, hubby. Fire licked through my veins. He promised to stop if I uttered that word. But pride or stubbornness kept me silent through every thrust. Afterward, Ethan stayed buried inside me, hands kneading the tension from my shoulders like I might vanish. The way he held me, Christ, he worshipped every inch of this body. Eyes closed, I lay spent, lashes clumped with moisture. Expression peaceful like some cosmic burden had lifted. Since when did future me become such a crybaby? The scene dissolved into cobalt haze. Sunlight pierced through fluttering curtains. I jolted awake, pressed against Ethan's bare chest. Our limbs tangled. Present day Ethan. Who said you could crawl into my bed? I shoved him away. 2 heartbeats passed before he answered. You kept screaming my name last night. Crying too. Heat flooded my face. Couldn't you have slapped me awake? Never. He rose from the mattress, backlit by dawn. Past me would have rather died than hurt you. Present me? Not a chance. I sat up glaring. Think I'm weak now? No. Golden light haloed his form as he turned. I'm in love with you. The declaration hung absurd between us. Since when did sharing a bed rewrite sexual orientations? Since when did Ethan become some lovesick poet? No way in hell was I buying this sappy rom-com bullshit. Ethan Miller walked into the breakfast diner. I lingered by the entrance, plotting my escape. He'd been shadowing me since dawn. Paranoid I'd skip school. Truth was, I fully intended to had a job this morning requiring my absence. Ethan, my head's killing me. Cover for me this morning? I need to rest, I said, only to have steamed dumplings and soy milk thrust into my hands. Eat first. Then I'm taking you to urgent care. His tone brooked no argument. I felt irritation surge. Are you deaf? I said I'm going home. Ethan's gaze turned arctic. I heard you perfectly. Let me clarify. If you're truly ill, we'll see a doctor. After treatment, I'll accompany you home. When you feel better, we return to campus together. Understood? You're staying with me all day. Barked out a laugh. shoving the food back at him. What's your damage? Ethan, since when do you police my life? The containers hit the pavement with twin splats. His iron grip closed around my bicep before I could react. Jean, I'll compensate your lost wages today, Dish. Fuck your compensation. Let go. I twisted free, only for him to seize my wrist. Not just today's pay. I'll settle your debt with the Red Gang, too. Borrow from me instead, no deadlines. No interest. Cold laughter escaped me as I wheeled around. Been digging through my dirty laundry. Think I need your charity? Save your hero complex for homeless shelters. I've got 2 working hands, keep your pity. My chest heaved with adrenaline. Ethan remained impassive as a marble statue, making me feel like a raving lunatic in comparison. Release me before I dash. The world tilted as he crushed his lips against mine. I froze, his callous thumb brushing my cheekbone. Jean, he murmured against my mouth. I told you I won't take the bait. Provoke me all you want. He withdrew slightly, eyes glacial. Moreover, did my confession an hour ago mean nothing? I'm no philanthropist. Can't tell the difference between pity and obsession. That's your failing, not mine. Dazed, I stared at the abandoned breakfast puddling on concrete. Trapped between fight and flight, I suddenly crouched to retrieve the soggy containers. Ethan snatched them there, dunking the whole mess into a nearby trash can. Without discussion, he dragged me back inside for fresh orders, then towed me across the street. Slumping onto a concrete barrier, I finally muttered, "You actually mean it?" Every word. He thrust a new soy milk carton at me. Straw already inserted. Consider this the conclusion. I'll spend the next month proving the premise. Mechanically, I sipped from the drink he held. Movement caught my eye a security guard raising his walkie-talkie. Principal, we've got Lovebird's cutting class at the East Gate. Heat flooded my face. Ethan calmly took the device. Sir, we're both legal adults, Dash. Stay right there. Crackled the tinny response. Damn, there's no escaping now. Ethan, relying on his status as the school's golden boy, ignored the dean's warning glare and dragged me by the wrist all the way to the administration building. Head still throbbing, he asked, tilting his chin. Shut it. I muttered through gritted teeth. Our homeroom teacher stood waiting when we reached the dean's office. Ethan shouldered full responsibility, physically blocking me from entering before requesting the teacher escort me back to class. The intensity in his grip betrayed his fear. He truly believed I'd bolt given half a chance. Truth was, I wouldn't. My debt-collecting partner, Brother Johnson, had already left for the morning collection. Even if I ran now, I'd miss the entire operation. The homeroom teacher's phone buzzed incessantly as we walked, her occasional sideways glances radiating the same old disappointment. I used to be her star student. Now, just another delinquent skipping homeroom to chaperone Grandma's chemo sessions and run errands for the Honk Society. Chubbs nearly knocked over his Mountain Dew when I entered the classroom. Johnny boy, did hell freeze over? The chubby kid grinned, hastily clearing candy wrappers from my desk. Flipped him off, my eyes drifting to Ethan's empty seat by the window. The classroom doors slammed open. Ryan stumbled in with a fresh handprint blooming across his cheek, blood streaking his untucked uniform. He hurled his backpack down with enough force to rattle desks. The hell happened to you? Chubbs leaned forward, popcorn munching curiosity written across his face. Lone sharks. Ryan spat, knuckles whitening around his pencil case. Fucking leeches came pounding at our door at sunrise. Chubbs whistled. Your uncle mixed up with the wrong crowd again. We'll pay. Ryan's chair screeched as he whirled around. Those blood-sucking bastards think they own us. When I get my hands on that collector, his manicured finger drew a sharp line across his throat. My boot connected with his chair leg. Uncle's name. Ryan's glare could have melted steel. Another kick. Chin ping. He finally snarled. Got a problem with that. I slid down my spine. Brother Johnson's mark this morning had been chin ping. If Ethan hadn't intercepted me, if I'd gone through with a collection. Ryan's furious eyes tracked my every movement as I leaned back, the pieces clicking into place. That slap mark. The pre-dawn confrontation. The murderous rage directed at some faceless debt collector. Me. The bell rang. I rested my head on crossed arms. The hum of pop quizzes being distributed lulling me into uneasy sleep. No Ethan in this nightmare, just endless dark corridors and the metallic click of a switchblade snapping open. When I woke up and saw Ethan sitting there, I frowned. Where the hell is my desk mate? Ethan pointed across the classroom. During break time, our chubby classmate was moving his desk toward the front row nerd zone where Ethan's original seat had been. From now on, I'm your desk mate, Ethan said, organizing his textbooks without looking up. I don't care about that. What did vice principals say? Making you call parents? Write apology? Demerit? He finally glanced at me. No parents. No apology. No demerit. The VP approved my dating privileges. After 2 beats of silence, I snorted. Did you steal his toupee? Or bribe him? Ethan stopped arranging stationery, giving me that exasperated look. Jean, do you really think I'd resort to that? I simply made him a promise. What kind? A smirk tugged at his lips. The school lets me date freely. I give them an Ivy League material in return. My gaze deliberately dropped to his abdomen. Oh, you're pregnant, Jean. His jaw tightened. Must you always? I cut him off with a laugh. You're the one spouting nonsense. Me? Ivy material? Even I don't believe that crap. Look, if you've got some crush, that's your business. But we're not dating. Don't try brainwashing me either. Keep your shit contained. Our silent standoff was interrupted by Ryan twisting around from his diagonal seat, glaring daggers at me before turning to Ethan with that pathetic puppy dog expression. Right, this creep used to ambush Ethan daily with love confessions until Ethan finally snapped and beat him senseless on the basketball court. Even ripped his own stolen jacket off Ryan's back. At least now Ryan pretended to be straight. My chuckle made Ryan whip back around, hatred burning in his eyes. Suddenly the memory of last night's dream surged. That damn scene where Ryan's uncle showed up at school with fabricated stories about me being some mobster. My vision went red. I grabbed a textbook to smash into that smug face. Ethan caught my wrist mid-swing. His warning toned sharp. Jean? We stared each other down until I slammed the book into my desk drawer. I didn't speak to him the entire day. In the nightmare, I'd gone with Big Bro Johnson to collect debts from Ryan's place. Of course, we ran into Ryan. Big Bro made me wait outside. I didn't lay a finger on anyone. Yet next day, Ryan went crying to administration, spinning tales about extortion and assault, half-truths I couldn't refute. Then his uncle arrived with fake bruises, demanding compensation and my expulsion. Truth was, I should have dropped out ages ago. Only stayed because my homeroom teacher insisted I get that diploma. When the shit hit the fan, I handed in withdrawal papers. No way I'd pay those liars a cent. But Ryan had to take it further. He showed up at my grandma's, made sure she found out everything, the debt collecting, the fights, all of it. My already frail constitution couldn't withstand such intense stress. Grandma fell seriously ill, requiring substantial hospitalization costs. I sold our house and left Maplewood Lane with her. No one knew about this, not even Ethan. Ryan had caused that scene at school the day before Ethan took leave. By the time I withdrew from school, Ethan still hadn't returned. The Ethan from my dreams remained oblivious to my struggles during those days. But the real Ethan, I suspected he knew more than he let on. Maybe more than I did myself. After final period, I deliberately avoided Ethan and climbed over the school wall. Yet there he stood beyond the perimeter, leaning against the brickwork. I grabbed his collar, dragging him into surveillance blind spot. You're skipping class now. Ethan lowered his gaze, prying my fingers loose one by one. He pressed an official absence slip into my palm. I used the front gate. I slapped the paper against his chest. Since when do you take sudden leaves? Don't tell me you're here to catch me. His laughter carried faint warmth. You're cooking for Grandma. Why would I stop you? Go on. I need to check something at home anyway. He vanished around the corner before I could question his uncanny knowledge about my schedule. Grandma was dozing before the flickering TV when I returned. My throat tightened seeing her there. I turned away to wipe my eyes as she called. That you? Sweetheart? Yeah. I managed, heading straight to the kitchen. 3 dishes and soup later, I found Grandma watching me wash dishes from her stool. Almost done. Let's move to the couch. She simply smiled, eyes crinkling. After helping her settle, I knelt before her. Grandma, I've been having these strange dreams about a future versions of myself. Did my girl live well in those dreams? Her papery hands offered orange slices. I think so, especially in the ones with Ethan. The admission slipped out. But how can I dream what hasn't happened? Maybe you're remembering a past life, dear. Her chuckle dissolved into coughs. A past life with Ethan? Did he remember too? My swirling thoughts shattered at sudden pounding on the door. The next second, a familiar voice called out, Grandma, it's Ethan. Are you home? My face darkened as I opened the door, mouthing silently, You doing this on purpose? Ethan didn't even glance at me, flashing that infuriating smile toward the living room instead. He shoved an overstuffed backpack into my arms while carrying the milk and fruits inside himself, casually kicking the door shut behind him. I stood frozen in the entryway, torn between laughter and exasperation. How could someone be this shameless? Grabbing the backpack, I stormed into my bedroom, dragging him by the arm, slamming the door shut with my heel. What the hell's your game? Ethan's smile didn't waver as he unzipped the bag by my dresser. Your clothes run small on me. Brought some of mine, though you're welcome to wear them too if you want. Since when did this become your place? Who said you could move in? His eyes glinted. You kicking me out? Grandma's right in the next room. I paced like a caged animal, fists clenching until my phone buzzed. A text from Big Tony. Don't come tomorrow. Someone settled your debt. My gaze snapped to Ethan. You went to the Red Serpent? Wordlessly, he pulled out a folded paper from his backpack. John, he began, formal as a banker. 10 grand to the Serpents. I'll loan you 40 more. 50 total. You'll repay 1,000 monthly after graduation. He held the IOU between us. Sign? I stared at the trembling document, jaw working. What? Can't watch you drown yourself. Why the fuck do you keep dragging me into your life? I never save your dam. His mouth crashed against mine, teeth drawing blood before I could react. When my knee jerked up, he used the momentum to pin me against the desk, the wood's edge biting into my spine. Our mingled breath sawed through the room as he forced my thumb onto the paper, the crimson fingerprint blooming like a wound. The slap echoed before I realized I'd moved. We stood panning, the document's fresh thumbprint shimmering with teardrops, mine or his. I couldn't tell. He pocketed the O as silent sobs racked my body. His arms encircled me from behind, forehead pressed between my shoulder blades. Ethan, my voice cracked. Why keep chaining yourself to someone like? The words died as his lips brushed my nape, the embrace tightening. No answers came, just 2 heartbeats hammering against each other in the dimming light. The arms encircling my waist tightened their grip. I'm sorry, John. I promise this is the last time I'll push you like this. I love you, John. It took me 5 years to make you believe that before. Now that we're back here, 8-year-old John is asking the same damn question again. But that's okay. Ethan's voice softened against my shoulder. Because 18-year-old Ethan can give you the answer faster this time. Just don't shut me out again. All right? I wiped my face with trembling hands, taking 2 shuddering breaths before rasping. Then answer me this. Were we involved in your previous life too? Yes. His thumb brushed my jawline. It sounds insane, but I'm actually reborn, carrying all those memories. Then tell me what happened before. That way you don't have to waste time trying to. John? Ethan's fingers stilled my agitated pacing. Chasing you wasn't a hardship. I'd gladly do it all over again. Something cracked in his voice. When I turned, moonlight caught the wet trails on Ethan's face. My chest constricted painfully. You're lying. His gaze swept over my features, lingering on the scar by my left eyebrow before he buried his face against my neck. The words vibrated against my skin, raw and broken. I'm not. Let the past stay buried. John, I'd rather you forgot everything, even if that means starting over. Why? Ethan's arms became steel bands around me, his laugh trembling. Because this way, I get to fall for you all over again. The 3 haunting dreams suddenly made sense, fragments of another lifetime. That third nightmare where I dropped out and moved cities, Ethan finishing high school alone, our paths crossing years later. 5 years to win me over. Bullshit. If I wasn't interested, I'd have kicked his ass to the curb immediately. Something must have broken me before we reunited. But no matter how I pressed, Ethan refused to elaborate. Last night's dreamless sleep offered no clues either. Classes blurred into white noise today. Only English and literature made sense. I dozed through everything else. When twilight fell, Ethan intercepted me at the school wall, hauling me toward the front gate with 2 forged sick notes. Relax, Ethan. I grumbled as we passed the security guard. Since when you play by the rules? Since I became your keeper. He tossed a tomato in the air at the grocery store, our fingers brushing during the exchange. You cooked for me daily before. How long? 5 years? 10? Ethan's smirk didn't reach his eyes. John, you've probed me 63 times since yesterday. Give that beautiful mind of yours a rest. Yeah. The produce aisle fluorescence highlighted his exhaustion. For the first time, I noticed the shadows under Ethan's eyes, the price of carrying 2 lifetimes alone. Ethan Miller picked several tomatoes to weigh. I followed behind him. All right, let me ask one last question. Did Grandma live to be 100? Ethan's footsteps faltered. I heard him say, of course. Good. I selected more groceries, nearly wrestling him at checkout. Guess who won? Ethan. Because he cheated. Tried to bite me. I maintained 2 paces between us walking home. Ethan kept glancing back, making random comments. On the stairs, he suddenly turned. I made a study plan for you. My stomach dropped. His lips moved, but his words blurred. Shoving past him, I sprinted upstairs. Our security doors stood open. Grandma. Every room gaped wide. Overturned furniture littered the floor. Grandma trembled by the coffee table, reaching weakly. John. The door slammed behind us. Ethan charged into her bedroom, cradling Grandma. I wiped blood from her temple with shaking hands, throat clenched. She gripped me, sobbing, "Show your father mortgage papers. I'm sorry." Thuds and Xie Zhangbao's screams erupted from the bedroom. I covered Grandma's ears. It's okay. We're here now. The beating continued endlessly. When silence fell, dread coiled in my gut. Ethan stood over Xie Zhangbao's motionless body, chair raised high, eyes bloodshot. I tackled him backward. Enough. He needs to stay alive. You can't ruin your future. His entire frame quivered, knuckles bone white around a chair leg. I pried his fingers loose. The chair clattered down. Suddenly, Ethan crushed me against his chest, heartbeat hammering through my ribs. John, I'm here. My throat burned. Ethan, in our past life, did Xie Zhongbao hurt me? Is that why? His arms tightened painfully. He deserves death. I buried my face in his shoulder. We're safe now. Grandma's safe. Scalding tears hit my neck like summer hail. His voice broke. That first rebirth morning, terror outweighed joy. What if I failed you again? His anguish seeped into my bones, regret, grief, longing fusing with my bloodstream. Action spoke clear. I tilted his face up, gaze locking on his lips, and bridged the distance without hesitation. Soft, salty. Ethan seemed stunned. I closed my eyes and smiled, looping my arms around his neck to deepen the kiss. Hot, wet, and moving. Kissing stopped the crying. Great trick. Though hell on the tongue. Panting against Ethan's shoulder, I suddenly heard movement. Looking up, I saw John standing. I immediately broke free from Ethan's embrace to shield him behind me, glaring coldly. Try cursing, and I'll hit you. Hand over the deed. John wasn't afraid of me, but he should fear Ethan. His wary gaze kept darting behind me. After several tense seconds, he pulled the property deed from his inner coat pocket and threw it on the floor. Ethan stepped forward, gripping my hand with contained fury. John, you're unfit to be your father's or grandma's son. Next time, I'll have you arrested. When you get out, I'll send you right back in. John's face twisted as he spat on the ground. He limped out just as Ethan grabbed a stool, the door slamming violently behind him. Grandma woke startled. Her eyes brimmed with fresh tears as she looked between us, though we insisted on taking her to the hospital. She refused, claiming hunger instead. After silent consultation, Ethan tended to her forehead cut while I cleaned up. Dinner came at 9:30, Ethan's cooking. While I washed dishes afterward, he sat chatting with Grandma on the sofa. I overheard childhood stories about me. Later, Ethan brought warm water to wash Grandma's feet as I changed her bedsheets. When he helped her back to bed, she gazed at him like another grandson. They'd clearly shared more secrets. We collapsed into bed past midnight. Long after lights out, I felt Ethan's gaze. My tired mind finally connected the dots. Rolling over, I asked, "Want to discuss your study plan?" He paused, smiling faintly. "Not tonight. We'll handle that at school." "Then why aren't you sleeping?" "Not tired." After 2 heartbeats, his voice softened. "John, I want to hold you. Think that'll help you sleep?" Instead of answering, Ethan turned supine. "Good night, John." Fine, he could toss all night. I yanked his arm around me, squirming into position against his chest. "Don't bitch about dead arm tomorrow." He stiffened momentarily before his heartbeat skyrocketed beneath my ear. Yet his hand stroked my back featherly, lips brushing my hair like cloud-soft whispers. "Good night, John." The dream came, my 19th birthday. Back when I still owed the Hong Society, working under Boss Hong. That night returning to my apartment with groceries, I found John waiting. The dining table was already set with several dishes and a birthday cake. I stood frozen in the doorway as John Wilson rubbed his hands together, boasting about his recent gambling wins and insisting on celebrating my birthday. Today was indeed my 19th, but he had no right to be here. I pointed at the door, demanding he leave. He pretended not to hear, shouting, "Grandma," toward the kitchen. Grandma emerged carrying another plate, her eyes crinkling with joy at the sight of me. Our boy's officially 19 today. More guests mean more blessings. Go wash up, there's just one last dish left. After a tense pause, I forced a smile and finished her frying the final course. When I returned, John had already laid out the utensils and poured drinks. Meal. John abruptly excused himself. I didn't acknowledge him. Good riddance. Grandma sang happy birthday while cutting the cake when my phone rang. Mr. Hong needed me to check a payment discrepancy at his parlor. I wolfed down the cake slice Grandma handed me. gulped the remaining soda, and left. At the Hong Society headquarters, Mr. Hong casually smoked while making small talk, asking about my life, mentioning his new nightclub venture. The room suddenly felt stifling. My shirt clung to sweat-drenched skin as my limbs turned leaden. When Mr. Hong asked if today was my birthday, my racing heart plummeted. The accountant emerged, declaring the accounts clean just as my knees buckled. I choked out a bitter laugh when realization struck. John had sold me out. The door slammed behind me as Hong San dragged me by the collar to his room. Your old man owes my poker den $200,000. You're the collateral. Dawn found me still breathing. I smashed the ashtray across Hong's sleeping face. At the gambling den, I nearly beat John to death before Hong dragged me off. After 2 days unconscious in that cursed room, Hong informed me Grandma remained unharmed. My laughter dissolved into hysterical tears. Hong later assigned me security duty at his new nightclub. When patrons kept mistaking me for merchandise, I carved a jagged scar across my cheek. The grotesque grin finally stopped their stares. Hong never summoned me again. I wish I'd mutilated myself sooner. 5 years later, the debt cleared as Grandma's cancer returned. Leaving the crematorium, I floated like an untethered balloon until a voice shouted, "John Wilson." Ethan came running. I turned away, but he followed me all the way to my shabby apartment. He wouldn't leave no matter how much I yelled or pushed him away, still insisting on taking me home. I couldn't understand why Ethan wanted to bring home such damaged goods. 2 years later, I finally realized he wanted to date me. When I told him I couldn't give him what he wanted, he simply said being close friends was enough. After much deliberation, I confessed everything, expecting him to walk away. I was stunned when he showed up at my apartment with luggage, claiming he needed to say good morning and good night to me in person every day. 2 more years passed before I stopped flinching at Ethan's touch, first allowing hand-holding, then embraces, kisses, until I fully accepted him. Our safe word originated from this gradual process. Any discomfort meant we'd pause. Initially, I struggled to voice it, yet Ethan always stopped anyway. Later, when I could finally say it, he teased me by refusing to stop. Memories flickered through my mind like film frames. What time couldn't heal? Ethan did. He'd sneak medicinal ointment onto my scars while I slept. As the marks faded, my smiles multiplied, each one proof of his love. By our 5th year reunited, I no longer doubted his devotion. During those years, I earned my teaching certificate through adult education exams and became an elementary school teacher. Ethan took over his family's traditional medicine clinic. When a principal asked if I'd volunteer for a 6-month rural teaching program in Mount Ang, I agreed. Ethan insisted on driving me, but I declined due to traveling with colleagues. We compromised. He'd pick me up after the term. I broke that promise. The day before break, an earthquake struck. Our aging hillside school began crumbling. While evacuating students, a little girl tripped amidst falling debris. I shielded her just as a concrete slab smashed into my back. Darkness swallowed me as blood filled my throat, warmth seeping away. With my last strength, I thought of Ethan. Ethan cooking in an apron. Ethan in his white clinic coat. Ethan stealing kisses. Ethan waiting for me. Ethan at 28, 20 to 7, 20 to 6, until settling on 18-year-old Ethan smiling in sunlight. Morning light streamed through windows. Ethan's shoulder was damp where I'd buried my face. Another nightmare, he murmured, chin resting on my head. I laughed tearfully. No nightmare. Ethan, I'm back. His hand froze mid-wipe, eyes reddening. He pulled me tighter. Our heartbeats synchronized as I asked, "Did you bring me home?" "Of course. We promised." Blinking tears against his shirt, I asked about the girl. "She survived. After her family," his voice thickened. "I took her in. She wanted a new name, Wangya. I chose one. What name? He kissed my forehead. Hope? Nanxing Wilson. I lifted my head from his embrace. Why didn't she take your last name? Ethan looked at me and smiled. Yaya insisted. She said Mr. Wilson gave her a second chance at life. She's Mr. Wilson's child now. Tears welled up again. I buried my face back into Ethan's chest, muffling my voice. Do you hate me? For leaving you alone and giving you a child to raise? After a pause, I felt his lips brush my forehead. Ethan's laughter vibrated against me. No time for resentment. I could barely keep up with missing you. When the storm of tears passed, I emerged from his arms. Were you alone all those years after? There was Nanxing. You know what I'm asking. Ethan simply watched me with that quiet smile. The unspoken answer hung between us. How old did you live to be? A full century. Liar. You told Grandma the same long lifeline before. A shadow flickered through Ethan's eyes. He rolled off the bed, abruptly changing subjects. Jean, you'll be late for school. I stayed tangled in sheets, watching his bare shoulders shift as he dressed. With Nanxing here, maybe Ethan would finally have the peaceful old age he deserved. The clock jolted me into motion. We nearly made it out the door when Grandma intercepted us with 2 steaming bowls. Golden fried eggs glistened atop each nest of noodles. Eat. She herded us toward the table, wrinkles deepening with smile. Growing minds need fuel. Grandma, where's yours? Mine's warming on the stove. Start eating, I'll fetch it now. My chopsticks clattered to the floor as crashing metal erupted from the kitchen. Ethan reached the doorway first. His scream tore through the house. John, call 911. The ER lights burned. I slid down the wall. Surgical Suite's glowing sign, searing my retinas. Ethan's shadow fell over me. I stared at scuffed tiles. She'll be okay. Right? Ethan. He crouched beside me, denim knees popping. John, there's something I need to tell you. What? The day I came back, it was my grandfather's funeral. Only this time he died 3 years earlier than in our first life. I looked up, forcing the words out through my constricted throat. What do you mean? Ethan looked at me for a long moment before offering a strained smile. Maybe coincidence. Maybe fate. 4 hours later, the ER doors swung open. A doctor emerged as I stumbled forward. The intracranial hemorrhage was extensive. Chemotherapy compromised his clotting ability. He said quietly, "We've done everything possible. You should prepare yourselves." Grandma was moved to ICU. 12 hours post-surgery. Fresh bleeding sent her back to emergency. When they wheeled her out again, the doctors repeated their grim warning. Back in ICU, I spent 2 days watching her through thick observation glass. On the 3rd day, they let me in. Ethan waited outside as I shuffled forward in sterile gown, legs heavy as lead. Grandma's eyes crinkled with silent laughter when she saw me. Her oxygen mask fogged. Swallowing tears, I leaned close. Her whisper brushed my ears. Zai, take me home. Turning away, I clenched trembling fists. Going home meant stopping treatment. Meant she wouldn't survive the day. A feeble tug at my sleeve. I knelt by the bed, voice breaking. Please, just a little longer. They can fix this. Tears tracked through her smile as she shook her head. When I collapsed, sobbing against her hand, she stroked my hair with papery fingers. We brought her home that night. Ethan and I kept vigil, refusing to leave her side. Her gaze never wavered from me. Cold fingers brushed my cheek. My Zai, these past days behind glass. I saw you clearly. Strange. I kept seeing the man you'll become in 10 years. Tiger. Handsomer. So happy, her breath hitched. You and Ethan together. This comforts me. Tears I thought exhausted flooded anew. She'd known everything. Don't cry. She soothed. The universe balances. For someone's return, Another must depart. Her voice faded. No regrets, only relief. Let me go out to watch over you both. Ethan lifted me from the floor when my knees failed. Kneeling at her bedside, he clasped her hand. We'll finish school together. Build careers. Make good lives. I'll cherish him always. Never let him want for anything. His vow dissolved into weeping. Grandma's trembling fingers found his hair. Thank you, dear Ethan. Her fading eyes found mine. My pride, my reason. Live fully. When you quarrel, a ghostly smile. Make peace before dark, promise. I pressed her palm to my lips, nodding through tears. Her gaze drifted between us. Don't mourn long. Visit yearly. The heart monitor's steady pulse filled the silence. Then stillness. The air congealed into a blunt blade, severing present from past. I clung to her cooling hand, helpless against time's inexorable flow. Grandma closed her eyes as the cool morning breeze gradually stilled her breath. Night retreated. Sunlight spilled through the window to illuminate her faint smile. She fell asleep, bathed in dawn's embrace. Ethan and I arranged her funeral. The locust trees bloomed early this year, March branches already heavy with white blossoms. On the day we buried her, it rained petals, fragrant bells swirling through mountain mist like Grandma's gentle farewell. Kneeling before the gravestone, I traced the engraved letters with unexpected calm. Death isn't the end, only forgetting. Turning to the man holding the umbrella, I smiled. Ethan, ever tried locust blossom cakes? No. I stood, taking his hand. Grandma taught me. I can make those in steamed locust blossom rice, too. Want some? Always. At the cemetery gates. Ethan paused to look back. John? He met my gaze. 6 years after Grandma passed in our previous life. You saved Xiananqing. She was 6 then. Didn't you say Grandma's family was from Yingshan County? That's partly why you volunteered to teach there. My breath caught. You don't mean... Ethan's smile deepened as he guided me onward. Sent someone to Yingshan last week. There's a family celebrating their newborn daughter. Understanding dawned. Last lifetime, Yaya's parents had doted on their miracle child until the earthquake. Now she has her family. Should we just send money? Already did. Ethan's shoulder brushed mine. But we'll visit twice yearly. When she's older, we'll sponsor her education in the city. Buried my face in his coat, tears threatening. How are you so? His hand steadied my neck as we walked. Yaya's settled. Now focus, your college entrance exams start in 3 months. Reality hit harder than textbooks on my first school day. My mind resembled an understocked warehouse after years' disuse. By afternoon's final bell, I collapsed at my desk. Ethan, my voice muffled against wood grain. I'll need to repeat senior year. Ethan ignored me, grabbing my backpack to pack up. What are you doing? I still have a night study session. Home study. I chuckled lazily. Will cramming at home magically get me into college? I know my limits. It's either one gap year after another. Ethan swiftly zipped up both our bags, hoisting me up on my collar with one eyebrow arched. Gap year? Not when I'm here. You've never taken the SATs before. But I aced mine. Back home, Ethan pressed me into the desk chair, flipping on the lamp and pulling out an A4 sheet. 3 months until exams. Here's your battle plan. My eyes bulged as I scanned it. 5 hours of sleep, plus 20-minute power naps. He said without looking up, already scribbling equations on graph paper. Besides the essay, I remember 20% of the actual test questions. The other 80% I can reconstruct through key concepts. We'll relearn the fundamentals first, then drill similar problems at least 3 rounds. For English reading comprehension, focus on rebuilding your intuition through daily practice tests. Morning and evening listening drills. You've got solid foundations, 70% of the required knowledge from your freshman and sophomore years. 3 months of undivided focus could get you into the Ivy League. His words inspired me. That night, I studied until 3 a.m. The next morning, he dragged my exhausted self to school. When Ryan saw me clinging to Ethan's arm, I dramatically recited The Road to Shoe. The poser flipped his hair and stormed off. After a month-long grind, the midterm scores came 408. My face fell. Ethan regraded my tests, grinning. You nailed all the concepts we practiced. Every all-nighter was worth it. Revitalized, I pushed on for another month. The final mock exam, 504. Still below the Ivy League cutoff. This time, Ethan kissed my forehead after reviewing. John, these scores measure your pacing, not your potential. Trust me, I know exactly what you'll score. I forced a smile, tracing the dark circles under his eyes, wrapping my arms around his neck. I mumbled into his shoulder, how can I ever repay? He patted my back like he was comforting a child. You'll get your chance. The last month became round-the-clock tutoring. We were in a timeless study days. My promise to make him locust blossom pancakes went unfulfilled. There'll be plenty of time later. He shrugged. On the eve of the exams, Ethan handed me an essay prompt. 50 minutes. When my pencil dropped with 5 minutes remaining, I looked at his sleeping profile beside me and scribbled on his scratched paper frowny face, I drown in your ocean eyes. Waves of heartbeat crashing as love pulls me under. His alarm went off. Ethan blinked awake, smiling at my scribble. Finished. I nodded and handed over the essay paper, secretly folding a corner of that rough draft page. Years later, I found this folded corner in Ethan's wallet compartment, with an additional bamboo drawing beside the original words. The 2 days of college entrance exams passed smoothly. After finishing the final subject, I rushed out of the examination hall and sprinted toward Ethan waiting at our designated meeting spot. He caught me, his first whispered words warm against my ear. You did great. Tears instantly welled up as I clung to him, laughing through sobs. Ethan, you can report back to Ryan now. Ethan chuckled, gripping my shoulders to spin me 180 degrees. Oh, Ryan stood right behind me, but it didn't matter anymore. I'd proven myself. We slipped away early from the evening celebration. Ethan took me to a hotel. We booked a room, slept like hibernating bears, and it didn't leave for 2 days. The entire summer we traveled nonstop. Ethan showed me countless places, our first stop being Maple Ridge County. When I asked when he'd planned this itinerary, he claimed to have no schedule, just wandering wherever inspiration struck. Impossible. The deliberate route exposed his lie. Suddenly, it was late August. By the way, just like in our previous lives, Ethan became the city's STEM valedictorian. Snatched up by MIT, I got into a reputable state university in the same city. Early September began our long-distance relationship between campuses. Epilogue, Ethan's perspective. Falling for John wasn't an event but an evolution, accumulated moments triggering metamorphosis. I thrived on structure and excellence yet craved rebellion. Naturally, I gravitated towards someone like John who shattered conventions. The closer I drew, the more fascinated I became. The deeper I understood, the more addicted I grew. One morning during my flag ceremony speech, my gaze swept the crowd and anchored on John. Only John. That instant of breath, stealing joy, perhaps that's when it began. I started craving his attention, desperate to unravel his layered emotions, learning of his past brilliance. I wanted him as my academic rival. Thus began my calculated provocations. Gradually, John seemed to resent me, unilaterally declaring us nemesis. As I plotted to repair my image, my grandfather died. Returning from the funeral, I found John's desk empty. He dropped out. Rumors swarmed, allegations of gang ties, assaulting Ryan's uncle, property destruction. harassing Ryan as if witnesses to non-existent crimes. I believed none of it. After weeks of inquiries, I tracked down John's address only to find him gone. He vanished as I prepared to confess. 4 or 5 years I remembered. 4 or 5 years I searched. Fortune smiled. 5 years later, outside the crematorium, John and I reunited. Goner, a jagged scar marring his left cheek. His eyes hollowed by storms. I recognized I was late, yet grateful not later still. I treated our reunion as a first meeting, determined to rediscover him. Year 1, we became casual friends. The second year, John and I became close friends. On New Year's Eve, John had a bit too much to drink and asked if I liked him. I didn't deny it. He pressed, wanting to know what I found appealing. I smiled and glanced at the snow swirling outside. A lone bamboo stood tall in the flower bed corner. Its branches bowed but unbroken under the weight of winter. That same resilient spirit in John kept drawing me deeper. My gaze drifted back to him dozing in the sofa corner. His endearing habit of blushing after saying the opposite of what he meant. His clumsy attempts at showing concern that somehow made my chest ache. Maybe I'd fallen for him at first sight, both before our separation and after our reunion. Loving him felt inevitable. When John claimed he couldn't give me what I wanted, I shrugged it off. Being his close friend would have been enough. Yet he kept making exceptions for me, tolerating my boundary pushing. I refused to settle for friendship. The third year, John revealed the scars of his past. He expected me to walk away. Instead, I went home to pack my belongings. That moment became my green light to advance, inch by inch, room by room. On our 4th New Year's Eve together, we became official. During his 5th birthday celebration, he accepted the ring I'd spent months saving for. The next day, he showed up at my workplace with one for me, too. I cried happy tears that afternoon. 5 winters had nurtured new life in John's heart, a heart that learned to love me fully. I felt like the luckiest person alive. Our 6th year began with moving into a new home, every day steeped in newlywed bliss. When summer waned, John left for a volunteer teaching position in the mountains. He wouldn't let me see him off, but promised I could retrieve him. I counted days until his call. Instead, news channels erupted with reports a magnitude 7.8 earthquake in Yingshan County. The elementary school had become rubble. "Who are you looking for?" a rescue worker asked. "My husband." I promised to bring him home. For 3 days, I clawed through debris alongside professionals, terrified to pause even for breath. We'd missed our scheduled reunion time. Would he be angry? On the 4th day, I found John beneath concrete slabs. His body formed a protective arch over 3 surviving students. As they carried the last girl away, I noticed rust-brown wings sketched near his outstretched fingers. The air left my lungs. Those wings mirrored the ones on my birthday cake last spring when John said, "The character Yen looks clumsy on frosting," and piped crimson wings instead. Workers lifted the concrete. I gathered him against me, wrapping my coat around his shoulders despite the freezing air. Someone murmured condolences. I knew. Of course I knew. We went home. The girl John saved asked me for a new name later. "Make it a Wilson name," I told her. So our family welcomed a new member, Xiananqing. My parents and friends thought I would collapse from grief. But I didn't. I didn't even shed a tear. I had too much to do. I needed to write John's eulogy and arrange his funeral. I had to accept the posthumous honors on his behalf. After venting my anger, I stared at the floor, wondering whether to protect myself first or cling to Ethan for support. I also had to raise Xiananqing well, and I did. Nanqing grew from a timid girl into a confident, poised, and brilliant young woman who could handle anything on her own. When I felt I had nothing left to teach her, I passed the traditional Chinese medicine clinic to her. Then, I decided to travel. I visited mountains, oceans, canyons, glaciers, ancient towns, caves. John hadn't visited my dreams lately, and even during the day, he rarely lingered long enough for me to share these stories. So at every stop, I wrote him a letter and mailed it to nowhere. My final destination was our old high school. I've been invited to speak at the anniversary celebration. During my speech, I spotted John leaning in a shadowed corner, lollipop in mouth. His smile was bright, carefree, and utterly alive, exactly as I remembered. After all my wandering, I still wanted the world where John existed. Always had. I visited his grave to ask permission, then stopped by the clinic one last time. The final prescription I wrote was for myself. When everything was settled, I took the medicine and penned one last letter to 17-year-old Ethan. Go to Wuan Alley early. Find a boy named John. Stick to him like glue. Protect him. Give him endless money. Give him endless love. Then